The already mentioned sand dam bridge was built, which facilitated the sale of fish and saturated the local market with goods. The problem of overpopulation was solved for a while by importing hundreds of tons of sand and rocks, which reduced the consumption of coral and the creation of land. Electricity was also brought to the island, and now there is even a small computer club with internet access. Regular freshwater deliveries were established, as the water from local wells was of poor quality. Most importantly, a high school was built at the other end of the causeway outside Bunjin. Now the island is hardly the main attraction of the Sumbawa Besar Regency. Foreign tourists come here to experience the atmosphere of the fishing village, eat fresh seafood at affordable prices, enjoy the beautiful sunset, feed the goats, and get to know the Beja people. If you are very lucky, you can also see how houses are built. Indonesians in general are famous for their hospitality, but on the island it is especially pronounced. There is an atmosphere of friendliness on Bunjin. The saying, "Cramped is not cramped," works well here, and cramped is becoming more and more every year. But people are happy with their lives and broadcast their positive attitude to the guests. And the island is also completely safe. Doors are not locked. Because everyone knows each other, it is difficult to commit an offense on Bunjin without anyone noticing. The locals love it, so much so that no one is in a hurry to move to the nearest island, where there's enough land for everyone. Of course, it's hard to call the island a paradise on earth, but it's not so important where you live. It's more important whether you feel happy there. It seems that the people of Bunjin do, and that's what's the most important thing. That's it. Be sure to share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're not already with us. Your activity helps promote the video. See you soon. In the Balinese Sea, 50 kilometers from the town of Sumbawa Besar, is the island of Bunjin, which, according to many media outlets, has earned the title of the most densely populated in the world. However, in different parts of the world, locals like to give such titles to their islands, so it is more objective to call it the most densely populated in Indonesia. So, if the island was 1 kilometer square, the population would be almost 41,000 people. About 200 years ago, representatives of the Baji people from South Sulawesi took a small sandbank, an area of several hectares, and began to build it houses on stilts. But as the population increased, the space became less and less, and the island began to expand and strengthen using coral. With this ingenious technique, they were able to expand the island. To 9 hectares, and it's still growing. Now the population of Bunjin is about 3,500 people. Every piece of land is occupied by houses, which stand as close to each other as possible. The population is growing rapidly, so that a family with 5 or 6 children is the norm rather than the exception. Every year, new plots of land are needed as new families are born. Today, it takes a week to build a house of 70 square meters if you involve friends and relatives. But it is one thing to build a house when you have materials, and another when you have nothing to build with. That's why there are often 2 or 3 families. But even so, Bunjin is the fastest growing island in Indonesia, because every year there are a couple of dozen new houses, for each of which it is necessary to create about 100 square meters of land. Historically, the Baji people have been closely with the sea, often referred to as sea gypsies. They once led an exclusively nomadic lifestyle. Nowadays, most of the people live on land in ordinary houses, but the Bayas on Bunjin, though settled, remain true to their traditions in many ways. Most of the Beja are Muslim. It's a religion they've passed down from generation to generation since their ancestors traveled the waters of Malaysia and Brunei. Almost all of the islanders make a living from fishing and sell their catch on the big land, which is easily accessible via a wide sand embankment built in 2002. Goats are also raised on the island, but they are more like stray dogs, and their diet is very peculiar. As there are no plants on Bunjin, goats eat food waste and garbage, and a goat eating paper or rags is a common thing on Bunjin, so the goats often get sick. In general, the problem of unsanitation is very acute on the island. Some residents also earn money by mining corals, which are always in demand and are the cheapest option for creating small hills of land. However, in search of dead corals, you have to sail farther and farther away from the island, as everything has already been pulled out. Traditionally, the Beja people are excellent divers. They can easily stay 5 or 6 minutes underwater, and they can dive dozens of meters to harpoon a fish. Diving kids on Bungan start from exhaustion. It is their favorite activity. An amazing fact about the Beja people that gives them superpowers is that their spleen is 50% larger than the average human spleen. Human beings. This is the result of evolution, helping them to hold their breath underwater for long periods of time. According to the Beja themselves, some of their people can dive for 10-13 minutes. A feature called enlarged spleen is even found in Beja people representatives of the Bejas, who are not engaged in diving and have long lived that gives them incredible powers.